Welcome everyone. My name is Samuel Srafel from Monza Collabs. It's my pleasure to have with us today Daniel Koroma to help shed some more information and further light on the upcoming Montgomery County Public Health Emergency Grant Program. A little bit about Daniel Koroma. Daniel Koroma is the Business Liaison Officer for the Montgomery County Government in the state of Maryland. His work in the Office of the County Executive focuses on assisting companies doing business in or with Montgomery County Government. He manages the award-winning Montgomery County Business Portal, a gateway to information on how Montgomery County interacts with the business community. He's also was an exemplar community outreach manager and liaison to the African and Caribbean communities at Montgomery County's Office of Community Partnerships, and so much more. I can go on. He is the first African immigrant appointed to the County Executive's Office in Montgomery County. So we're super delighted to have you with us today here, Daniel, and look forward to the insights that you're able to provide us about this program. So if you could, please do give us your highlights here.
Well, thank you, Samuel, and thank you for everyone for joining us this afternoon. We know that these are difficult times, especially for our small businesses and nonprofits here in Montgomery County. Many of you have, experienced, a significant decline in your business activities, and so we're very mindful of that. And it is to that light the county government has stood up $20 million as an emergency grant program to help our businesses and nonprofits in the county. So Samuel, if you can scroll down a little bit, I just want to talk about the program itself. So the total amount that was stood up was $20 million. Businesses and nonprofits are eligible to get up to $75,000 if they've seen that much of a decline in revenue as a result of the emergency that we're facing right now. So the eligibility requirement is that your principal place of business is in Montgomery County, or you have 50% or more of your employees working in Montgomery County. This program is for businesses and nonprofits that have 100 or fewer employees. And when I say businesses, let me make sure I'm more specific. So if you are a sole proprietor, independent contractor, you are eligible to apply. If you are an LLC, if you are a partnership, if you're a corporation, no matter if you're an S, C, or B Corp, you're also eligible to apply. Also, 501c3 nonprofits, all the subcategories of 501c nonprofits are also eligible to apply. As I indicated, you must have incurred a significant decline in revenues. What do we mean by that? Right now, we're looking at a 50% decline in revenues or greater is what we're defining as a significant decline in revenues. An example would be if your business or nonprofit used to bring in, let's say, $10,000 a month, and because of the emergency we're facing right now, you're only bringing in $5,000 a month, then that's a 50% decline in revenues. And that would make you eligible for the program. And then we can determine in terms of the funds that will be granted to you. All right, let's go to number 2 in terms of what you need to prepare. And this is so important right now because if you start to put this documentation together, it would help us to make a decision in the back end very fast. The goal is we want to get this money out to businesses and our nonprofits as soon as possible. So therefore, if you've been in business for greater than 2 years, we're asking for 2 years financial. If you do not have your 2019 tax, that's okay. We will ask you to submit your 2017 and your 2018 taxes. If you're a nonprofit, then your 2017 or 2018 990s if you do not have your 2019 990. Again, if you've only been in business for less than a year or two, provide us with some interim financials. Those could be quarterly or it could be monthly or even your monthly P&L statements, that will be fine as well. For sole proprietors, we don't need your entire tax return. We only need your Schedule C from your personal taxes that you file. And in addition to that, these are the other things we need. As I say, we need, if you have interim or quarterly financials for 2020, please submit that. If you have any monthly or quarterly sales tax filings for 2019, for 2020, please submit that. If you are a new business, or if you are a business that have fewer than five employee or fewer, please, you can submit your bank statement, because that can also show your monthly revenues as well. Now, the reason why we're asking for the bank statement, again, if you do not have a 2-year history of financial tax filings to submit to us. All right, so once you submit that to us, what we are going to do in the back end is that we want to make sure that your business is in good standing, your entity is in good standing with the state of Maryland. And what we've done, we've provided you the link on the website that Samuel has, and Samuel will provide this website to all of you. You need to go to Maryland Business Express, and then you do from the SDOT, the State Department of Assessment and Taxation's portal. You can search for your business entity by either the number, or you can search by the name of the entity, the registered name of the entity. And once you search, it will tell you if your business is in good standing. Now, let me also be clear. Sole proprietors or independent contractors are not required to file with the state in terms of to file a business registration. So as a result of that, if you're a sole proprietor, you may not even show up there. That is fine. So don't worry about that. Just go on and submit your application. Now, if you're not in good standing, I ask that you do that before you apply, because again, if you're not in good standing, which means the county cannot be in agreement with you when it comes to the grant. And there's a grant agreement letter that all nonprofits and small businesses and businesses will have to sign in order for them to get the grant if they're eligible. Now, scroll down a little bit. Thank you. No, go up a little bit where it says, is your business prepared to execute a grant? And that's what I was talking about, that this is a grant that we are granting to businesses and nonprofits. And so you have to be prepared to do that. And what does it take for you to be prepared? Well, again, I talked about eligibility. I talked about the documentation that you need to submit. Once we have, analyzed all that information and deemed you to be eligible based on the, legislation and the regs that we have, then you get an email from us, from our finance department. And our finance department will basically attach a grant letter. The grant letter will tell you that you are eligible and you have been approved to receive a certain amount based on what you're eligible for. Now, in that email, you'll also be instructed that, hey, by you signing, because you need to sign that letter and send it back to us. And by you signing the letter, send it back to us, you are authorizing the county that we could basically audit your financials at any time to look that you have used the funds that you applied for the purposes for which you applied for. In other words, if you said this money was going to go towards operational expenses, then yes, you will need to provide those records. And those are records that you will have anyway to prove that you use the funds that you receive from the county for the intended use based on the application you submitted. Also, their reporting requirement, and this is a requirement that is for all entities that are granted money by the county. So this, because again, these are taxpayer funds, so we have to make the taxpayer aware of all the entities that get money from the county. And so as a result of that, you will need to provide reports at the end of the program, in terms of the end of the year, of how the funds were being used. Now, the name of the entity and the amount received will be public information, because again, these are taxpayer funding. Then also, if you did not use the funds as intended, then the county at the end of the program will require you to send back that money if you did not use it for the purposes that were intended based on the application you submitted. And then finally, the grant letter is gonna say under under the penalty of perjury that the information you provided is accurate and correct. So you need to make sure, again, you read that and then you sign it and then you send it back to us. And once you send it back to us, then we work very fast to make sure we get you into our central vendor registration system, our CVRS system. That system is where you'll go and register, and then you will put in your ACH information so that the county is able to deposit funds into your business account or your nonprofit account. All right, so let's scroll down a little bit. So just to summarize basically what we're doing under apply, Samuel, if you can go up just a little bit, because I want to make sure that I highlight the biz info COVID-19 email address. If you have any questions, please make sure you send us an email. There are a group of us that have access to that email, and we'll be able to answer the questions that you have. If you have a question now or you have questions later after the application is live, please go to that email that Samuel is highlighting right now. Just to summarize, we need general business information when you're applying. You need to indicate the intended use of the funds that you're applying for, right? Also, we want to make sure that that all our businesses, including minority and ethnic nonprofits, not only are aware of this, but that they also apply. So one of the things that the county executive has done and has instructed us to do is that we've translated the application in a PDF format, a sample of the online application. Now, let me be clear. You can only apply for this grant online. But just to ensure that all our diverse businesses and nonprofits are able to understand the questions we're asking for the online application, we're going to provide a sample PDF format of the application itself. So people can look at that, but again, you will not be able to submit that PDF version. It's just a sample. The good thing about that sample is that it gives you all the questions in one place. As opposed to the live application, you have to finish one side and then you go to the next side. Also, you would not be able to go from page 1 to page 2 on the online application if you do not fill out all the required fields. So having that side-by-side PDF application would also be helpful as well when you're filling out the live application. The other thing, which is also critical, and let me emphasize, it is critical, you will not be able to hit submit on the application. The application will not submit if you do not attach the documentation that's being required. So for example, your legal entity documentation, it could be your article of organization, or your article of incorporation, and other partnership, if you're LLP, partnership agreements that you may have. You will not be able to submit the application if you do not attach those legal documents, if it applies to you, but also if you do not attach the financials, if you're a sole proprietor, you're Schedule C, if you're a nonprofit, a 990, if you're a business that you haven't been in business for over 2 years, your interim financials, your bank statement, if you do not attach those documents, you would not be able to submit your application. So therefore, if you're having problems submitting your application, please know that the first thing to check is to make sure you filled out all the fields and you've attached all the documents. Just lastly, we will make sure that we have the FAQs, because I've done many of these webinars and very good questions have come in. So we've compiled the frequently asked questions and we'll make it available on this site when the application goes live. With that being said, I want to thank everyone again, and thank you, Samuel, with Massico Lab, for the great work you continue to do. And I don't know if there's any question.
Okay, I have a few questions that that I wanted to ask real quick based on your presentation. Really great. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. One question is, in terms of the intended use, especially since we have a lot of sole proprietors, single member LLCs, how does that look for like owner salary, or how things of that nature. Is that considered an intended use, or is it other
Yeah,
operations?
so well, no, all operational expenses, which includes payroll,
Got it.
it's operational expenses,
Okay,
and the
good.
legislation did not exclude in terms of, did not limit the intended use. It just says, it just says, the intended use, right?
You
Which
have
would
to
be,
tag it as such.
yeah,
Okay.
exactly.
And then just are the folks that are working in the shared economy, I know gig workers, but like Uber drivers and folks who are doing that type of work, are they eligible for this as independent contractors or sole proprietors?
That is correct. Independent contractors, sole proprietors, again, they would, in terms of financials, they would just need to provide their Schedule C
Just
from
get
their
to see.
personal taxes.
So Uber drivers are essentially eligible for that. Okay. And then in terms of the sort of someone had already applied for federal or state funds,
Mhm.
how does that align with now their eligibility for the county?
They're eligible. You don't need to apply for state or federal funds to be eligible to apply to ours. You do not, you do not. It's not required for you to apply to those before applying to ours. So again, you could apply even if you're not applying for those. You could apply even if you apply for those.
Okay. But if you've received from one, does that make you ineligible for this one?
No,
No.
because again, the intended purpose here is that, let's say, for example, if you've been reimbursed, for example, for let's say your payroll,
Mhm.
right? Our funds can be used for rent.
Got it.
Let's say if you've been reimbursed for rent, our funds can be used for utilities.
Okay, great, great, great. And then in terms of nonprofit eligibility, I know. So do you have a case in which you can you can kind of go through what a nonprofit like on the top line is that they would have required this support that makes them eligible? So we can kind of assess for for-profit businesses.
Mhm.
Specifically, you mentioned 25% or 5 million goes to retail establishments and restaurants. But like for a nonprofit, what would be an example?
So again, the baseline is 50% decline in revenues, right? So either you are a nonprofit or for-profit business, right? If you've been in business for 2 years, you provide us with your 2 years financials. We look for the year-over-year revenues. So look at the top line there, and we average it out, and then look for March and see the decline. And if that decline is 50% or greater, then that deems you eligible.
Right. So let's say for a nonprofit, it would be like if there's somebody who gets revenue from charitable giving, or like they offer programming that's people pay at the door for,
Yep.
things of that nature. Are churches eligible? In that
Yes. So
churches are
churches that are 501c3 are eligible. So for example, let's say your nonprofit, you do a fundraiser every year, right? And the fundraiser this year was in March, and you had to cancel that. Well, because you do it every year, it's going to show in your 2017 taxes in terms of the revenues coming in. It's going to show in your 2018 taxes in the revenues coming in. If you file 2019, it's going to show in your 2019 taxes. But however, if you haven't filed 2019, you submit your 2017, 2018, then what we will do, we'll look at the average, again, revenues that are coming in for those 2 years monthly, and then look at the drop in revenues for this month, because it will show in your 2017 and the 2018 taxes.
Okay, fantastic. That's really key information there. And then you mentioned this is not a first serve, first come, first serve basis award.
That is correct. And the reason for that is because the legislation says that we have to grant those who who can demonstrate that they have a significant decline in revenues have occurred.
Okay.
And again, we have developed the regs to interpret that to say 50% or greater, it is definitely a significant loss in revenues.
Right, right. Okay. I think those are the main questions that we had. And again, you said that the website will be kept up to date.
Yes.
We should expect it. I guess it'll be live at the end of the week in terms of the application, by the end of the week, roughly.
That we're looking for it to be this week.
Okay, and we'll definitely be sharing the information when it does go live. Thank you for all the wonderful work, Daniel, and we look forward to the launch.
Absolutely. Thank you, and thank you, everyone.
All right.